Good evening. Quick video. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Take what resonate, what does, what doesn't. I just want to say this based off my own opinion. Do your own research. I've been looking at some videos, and a couple of videos caught my attention. One video, one of the creators was talking about slavery. Another creator was talking about the Israelites. I want to give my opinion on about something. Something I did a little bit of research on, I did a little bit of studying. So again, don't take my words for 100%. Do your own research. First of all, not all, and I hate using this label, but I'm gonna use this label so I can get my point across. And this is exactly what it is. The word black is a label. I do not like using it, but I'm gonna use it so people can understand. Not all blacks were slaves. Coming from Africa. Okay, first of all, you had your blacks that lived in certain parts of Europe. When the Europeans start colonizing and expanding their territory, whatever you want to call it, the blacks that were in Europe, they tried to escape Europe. For whatever reason, there was a lot of killing. They was killing babies because this was the whole process of not exactly cloning, but DNA. They was doing a lot of testing, and this is how again I made a video once before talking about it took 666 years for the European race to be created, and what they did was they bred the dark gene out of the race. Okay, the blacks have a dark gene and they have a light gene. If the dark gene is the more dominant gene, the light gene is a recessive gene. However, when they bred the light gene out of the Europeans, I mean the dark genes, excuse me, when they bred the dark gene out of the Europeans, that's what created the Europeans. Again, through the process of doing this, they had blacks over over in the island on the island of Palan with them, and so this is how they did all the breeding and all. And it's just like they're doing now when dealing with DNA and things of this nature, right? Um, so they had blacks over there with them, and again, when you talk about Moses going to being found down the Nile River and all these type of things, the Bible speaks of a lot of different things, and the stories have changed throughout the centuries. But the stories kind of stay the same, but where it actually started from is something totally different. Um, Again, what I've come to understand is that over in on the island Palan, when they start killing children, the dark skinned children, because remind you, they was trying to breed the dark skinned people out and was trying to create this new line of people, let's just say. And so the dark skinned genes, the dark skinned people was in jeopardy. Their lives was in danger. So when the man and the woman was having children, and these children was being born, they didn't want the dark skinned children to outnumber the light skinned children because they would try to create a sense of dominance through the light skinned race and eventually the Europeans, the white race. So they had to be more dominant than the dark skinned race. And so they was killing children. And so some of the parents was putting their children in baskets, their babies in baskets, and sending them down the river. All right. Now, going back to slavery, when they ran from Palan, the dark skin, the blacks or whatever, they ran over into Israel. And they ran all over the place. So they ran into Israel. I'm talking about the ones that ran into Israel. When they ran into Israel, the whites followed. They ran from Israel, the Israelites. They ran from Israel and ran into Africa. Now, from Africa, when the whites came into Africa, the African kings or whoever, instead of trying to save their own people, they gave up the Israelites. And this is how the tribes were broken up and dismantled and over here and over there. So the African kings, whoever, gave up the Israelites to these Europeans. And the Europeans brought them over to America. So these were the first slaves in America. But remind you, not all blacks were slaves because there was already blacks here. But the ones that they brought from Africa was majority Israelites. So anybody that has ancestors that were slaves are descendants of Israelites. There's there's just a lot that I've did my study on, you know what I mean? And again, you know what I mean? Everything that I choose to say in my videos doesn't have to be 100%, but it's my opinion. It's what I choose to believe or not believe, and I'm just sharing it. Do your own research. But again, the Israelites, the tribes of Israelites, how many tribes there are? A lot of them was brought to America. And again, a lot of people that have slaves, ancestors, and are descendants of Israelites. Because most of the Israelite was brought to America as slaves. But again, there was blacks already here. You know, again, when you're dealing with the Bible, there is so much, you know, controversy with the Bible that you can go on forever talking about it. You know what I mean? And when it comes to religion don't want you to know a lot of these things. You know, because it kind of hinders them from what they're trying to do with it. You know, but look who created it. Look who created religion, Christianity. You know, do your research. Again, you know, my thing, I don't personally get into religion because I'm a firm believer that, you know, God come into people's lives, and everybody have a different experience. So it doesn't matter what nationality you are. It doesn't matter what, you know, part of the world you live in. God gonna expose itself to you in a different manner. But it all boils down to it. It's all one God. It doesn't matter if you're Buddhist. It doesn't matter if you're Mormon. It doesn't matter if you're Catholic. Doesn't matter if you're Christian. Whatever. It's one God. And once people can stop feuding about the different religion and understand that you're basically fighting about God. You know what I'm saying? If everybody can come to terms that it's one God, and maybe people can get along. That's why I don't deal with religion. You know what I'm saying? Because it's pointless. If you have faith and you believe in God, then that's what you need in your life. You know, religion is for the people. Simple as plain. But that's all I have to say. I just wanted to get on here and make a quick video. So y'all stay blessed.